well, what do we do now? You know, we have nobody at
Yeah.
home needs us. What do we do? So I said, well, let's travel. I'll become a travel nurse. And so I did. I became a travel nurse, and my first assignment was in Cooperstown, New York in January, and they get ridiculous amount of snow. Feet
Oh,
and
I
feet.
can imagine.
So
Yeah.
work in my Dodge Challenger, and I'm sliding off the road, and they have all these deer, and anyway, it was horrible. So then I bought a motorhome.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
that's easy. It's the best way to be a travel nurse. But
Mhm.
anyway, so when I travel, I rarely do a contract more than once. I rarely extend. And the reason why is because I got into traveling to see the country. And if I don't want to grow roots. So I do 3 months here and 3 months there. I live in a different city and state every 3 months. I get to see the most amazing parts of America. How did I end up in Guam? So Michelle, one of the recruiters, had posted something, and I don't know how it ended up on my Facebook feed, but I looked at
Yeah.
my husband. Yeah, I looked at my husband and I'm like, well, I've never been to Guam. Have you? And he's like, no. I said, well, let's go to Guam. And so
Let's
here we
do
are.
it. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so, it's inspiring. I mean, especially I'm sure for nurses that are considering travel nursing, just hearing that your whole journey, you know what I mean, of just how it led to where you are now. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really amazing and awesome. Oh my gosh, just traveling, having the adventures and all of that. So how would you describe your experience so far, being in Guam?
So I've been here now probably 3 weeks, I want to say,
Okay.
but um, so the whole flight and everything, mind you, it's all 22 hours of in the air. So
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
that's neither there, but when I got here, it was so worth it. And an interesting thing about Guam is the time is flipped from the
Okay.
United States. So today is Tuesday here, and it's about 10 in the morning here, and it's probably Monday, maybe 6 at night or so there.
Yep.
Uh, so so you literally flip from being day shift to night shift, and your body is just, but I must have done something wrong because I didn't jet lag too bad. I didn't sleep on the flights, so I stayed up all the 20 plus hours, and I think that helped because when I landed it was nighttime here, so I was able to fall
Okay.
asleep. It was out. But anyway, the island is incredible. We're exploring. Um, it's a 4-day contract, so 48-hour contract. So I do 4 on, and then I do my 3 off, and I do 4 on, and that's my
Okay.
choice. But
Yeah.
that's because I like to have the 3 days off. And so on my days off, we pick a different beach. This island is, as you can imagine, it's an island, so it's surrounded with incredibly beautiful beaches. The Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
Oh, it's just amazing. So we pick different beaches and we go snorkeling at least 2 days a week. Um, Now, working in the hospital, here's something interesting about the hospital. It's an island, so supplies get delivered when they get delivered. So
Yeah.
you may find that you're having to make substitution for things because they still haven't gotten their delivery of whatever the supply is. And the one that I can talk about is like insulin, little sub-Q needles, little 25 gauge, 5/8 inch needles that you would give like heparin or whatever. We don't
Mhm.
have any right now. We have 25 gauge, 1.5 inch needles. So, so you're having to learn how to give injections without without going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the hospital's great. The people are great. I love the local people. The local people here at Chamorro, and everybody's so sweet and kind and polite. And the
Mhm.
hospital just a fun place.
Mhm.
Um, really like it here.
I love that. And I mean, even from my conversations with some of the other nurses, they say you learn so much, like so many skills and things that you can transfer to, future positions. Like you just learn a lot of amazing skills while in Guam. So I think that that's awesome. We actually
Yeah.
have a question, somebody who's watching us, they posted in the comments. They said, I am curious about what it would cost to live there. Like, do you stay in an apartment or hotel? I know housing is always a huge question asked, like, how do I find affordable housing in Guam? So what do you,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a big deal for me. I mean, I live in a motorhome, so it's easy for me. I just drive, park in an RV park. But to find housing here, I get a little nervous when I'm going to travel 9,000 miles around the globe, about where I'm going to I land. So I had rented an Airbnb for the first 6 days when I was my first 6 days here, giving myself time to find house. And it was pricey, but the guy that owns the Airbnb had called me and said, "Hey, are you interested in keeping the room for the whole time you're here?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. How much are you charging?" And so the rent's a little high here, but it does include a car,
Okay.
which was good. But I have breathtaking views out of my window and a
Yeah.
beach at the bottom of my stairs, which is a huge selling point. What a lot
Mhm.
of other people have done on the island, is they have come and stayed in a hotel for the first week and then found housing. Interesting thing is here on the island that if you're only taking a place temporarily, 3 months or 8 weeks or whatever it is, they will hike the rent up,
Mhm.
a lot,
Okay.
because that that's how they make their money. So, and tourism is huge here, but because there's no tourists now,
Yeah.
you a lot of places are empty. So that's helpful. What I dream of is if travel nurses who are renting an apartment that's in a nice area and has like whatever amenity, if they would, um, hand off their apartments to other travel nurses. So like if Vero Guam, if every travel nurse said, "This is the apartment I'm living in. I'm vacating this month. If you're
Yeah.
coming in, let's have you take over the lease," and then it would be like they would have perpetual renters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You would have a place that was tried and true, and maybe someday somebody will start that. But that I think would be the best thing in the world. However, there are if you just I joined a lot of Facebook groups like,
Yep.
mom rentals, and I joined a
Yep.
lot of Facebook groups, and that kind of helps you find things. But when you're going into a place you don't know, where anything is. And even though the island is only 28 miles long, and I'm used to driving 45 miles to work, and you
Yeah.
think miles is nothing, this island has three speed limits: 15, 25, and 35. Literally, there's nothing more.
Wow.
Highways. It's so small. There are no highways. So
Yeah.
I live 10 miles away from GRN, the hospital I work at, and it takes me 25 to 30 minutes to get there. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when you consider
I mean,
you
that's a
could
good
be,
explanation, though. Really. Yes.
yeah. So when you consider you could live, because you don't know any better,
Yeah.
20 miles from the hospital, it's going to take you every bit of an hour to get there.
Yeah.
So that's why I think if the group just like started with, here's rentals and this is where we're staying
Yeah.
and we love it, blah blah blah, I think that would be incredibly. It would put people's minds at ease.
Mhm.
I can't be
No.
the only one that's for housing.
Anybody who's listening, that's part of also too why we created the group that I'm posting this live in, is because we have so many people in this group that yes, they're aspiring to go to Guam, but there's a lot of nurses that are current nurses or former nurses, and people do post their you know house options that they've come across. But I love your idea, and I think if you're able to connect with the nurses that are already there, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I have another question from Chris. He said, what do you see as an RN being the needs there? I guess because you're an RN, what do you see are the needs there?
The needs in which respect? Staffing, or in which respect?
I'm thinking I don't know, Chris, if you're still watching, but I'm thinking that he means like staffing, like in the hospital, like I guess what are you seeing the biggest needs? I know for us, Chris, we really are looking for med surge and tele nurses, ER, ICU. Those are always what we're hiring for
Yeah.
specifically. But
So they staff with probably 50% travel nurses. The island has one university, and because they have no professors right now, their nursing program is on hold. So they're not able to grow their own nurses. So that 50% at least is travel nurses. And
Mhm.
we're in an interesting time right now um, because they're offering like crisis rates. There's another travel group that comes here, and they're offering like ridiculous crisis rates. So a lot of them came,
Mhm.
but I crisis rates will hang out. So, but they staff with travelers. Um, and of course they don't cancel travelers because you're guaranteed hours, which is kind of good. So the staffing right now is really good. And another program that they implemented here just right now for COVID is the college had certified, not certified, they had trained a ton of nurse aides.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so states falling all over themselves in the hospital, which is fantastic because
Yeah.
they can make or break your day if you don't have an aide.
Mhm.
And so there's tons of aides in the hospital, so that's good.
That's really good. Chris, I hope that that answered your question. And thank you so much for, I mean, explaining that because again, you're there, what's actually happening in the
Yeah,
hospital. So I appreciate that.
yeah, for sure.
Yes. So, are there any other tips that you would give someone who's considering going to Guam? I know you talked about the housing. If there's any other tips that you're like, wow, this is like really important information, maybe transportation. I know a lot of the nurses, they're trying to find car rentals or just anything like that that you could think of.
So when you rent a place, ask them if they're going to give you a car or if they're going to help you get a discount on a car. So a car and transportation was another thing that I was kind of like, I'm going to have to find a car when I get from the airport. I'm going to get from the airport here to there. So my guy actually provided a car, but some car rentals, they say are $300 a month, but you'd be surprised. They never have those cars. So
Mhm.
expect for transportation, car rental to cost you anywhere from $500 a month to $1,000 a month, um, depending on where you get your car from. I can tell you my
Okay.
car came from Nissan and it's $550 a month.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And also, what like cell phone provider do you use? I mean, you're far away from home, so like, how do you stay connected with your family
Yeah.
and friends? Yeah.
So I actually I use T-Mobile in the States,
Mhm.
and they have for $50 a month you can have an international plan that is just like your regular plan. So I did that, but my husband's phone we did not get the plan on. But you can use everybody uses WhatsApp, which
Mhm.
is calling. So you can call people on WhatsApp, and there's a lot of texting. They use WhatsApp for everything. There's a
Mhm.
lot of text that goes on through the WhatsApp, and that also doesn't cost. So if you
Yeah.
don't have an affordable internet plan, you could also buy like I don't know what they call the prepaid cell phones, right? You
Yeah.
could also buy those,
Yep.
and I don't know what those cost, but I think using the WhatsApp to make your calls and do things like this
Mhm.
is probably your best bet.
Yep, and it's free. So it's definitely a good option. I know even with Facebook, you can actually like video chat and do all that on
Yeah.
Facebook free also. So that's another option. So
Hmm.
I asked, what are the licensing requirements to take an assignment there?
For licensure, what I had to do, it wasn't
Mhm.
hard to apply for licensure. It really wasn't. For licensure, I had to fill out this very, very in depth application. It was very long. And I had to send them, what do you call it, transcripts
Mhm.
from school. And and it was only $100 fee. And I had to send them 2 passport photos, and what else did I have to send them? I think that was it. I think that was it. And when the lady here that works on compliance here that works at GRMC,
Yes.
she had me take pictures of every page of the application, and then she went through it and told me if I needed to fix anything or change anything. And then right before I sent, she she checked it over to make it complete. And then I mailed it directly to her and she walked it over the state board. Right now, the state board is doing emergency, oh, the ant biting my foot, emergency license. Right now, we're doing licenses. So I was granted an
Okay.
emergency like 5 days later.
Wow, because that's what I was gonna ask too, like the timing, like how long did it actually take to make this happen? So
No. I don't have a Guam license yet. I don't have like the license I applied for. I don't have it yet, but they use your application to certify you to get a emergency license. So I got my emergency license very fast.
okay, good to know. All right, so when you're not working, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but when you're not working, like what do you enjoy doing on the island? Like, what is there to do? Best
Right.
places to see and do. I know right now it's kind of a crazy time, but what are some of the things that you like to do when you're not working?
So all the beaches are public.
Mhm.
Um, so you can just pull over on the side of the road and go down to the water if a place struck you as, hey, I've got to get in that water. So all the beaches are public. And an interesting thing about Guam, because I'm kind of a nerd, an interesting thing about Guam is there is no sand on the beach. All of what looks like sand, coral, crushed coral, and it's like powder soft, almost like flour. It's kind of neat. But
Wow.
anyway, so I
That's
do a
fun
lot of
fact. Yeah.
yeah, I do a lot of snorkeling. You'll find that most of the beaches have an area that's only 3 or 4 feet deep before the
Mm.
ocean. I don't know why, but it is. And so we do snorkeling. We did like a guided driving tour that gave a lot of history of the island and took
Okay.
us to places to see like World War II things, like Pitty Guns, White Jungle, um, and we literally just pick a place hiking. There's so many waterfalls. And then another interesting fact about Guam that I learned on my guided tour, driving tour, and it literally was just an app that gave us history as we drove.
Hmm.
Another is that it's home to the highest mountain in the world. Mount Lam Lam is 38,000 feet high. The interesting thing about it is only 3,000 of it is above the water. So you only see 3,000 feet of the highest mountain in the world.
Wow.
You
That
can
is
hike.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. And I
Yeah.
and I know the nurses, including they love to hike, but that's an amazing fun fact. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
they don't know that. So that's really cool. So if you're into hiking, I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
like checking out. Oh, I love
And
that.
there's, restaurants, try the food, try the local food. We're eating food we've never had before and we've lived. So so that's good.
Is there anything that you're
Try,
like, I
try
can't
the
believe
local,
I tried that? Is there anything like that?
like what?
Is there anything you can think of that you're like, I can't even believe I tried that, but it was like awesome. It was amazing.
So I went to a place and I got some Filipino food. I had no idea what I was eating. I picked by color thing. I'm gonna have that blue thing. And so I
Right.
don't know what I ate, but it was all of it, mostly all of it was pretty good. And then
Mhm.
of course I with a lot of Filipino girls in the States. So I texted them pictures of my food and I'm like, what was this? And what was what
Yeah.
was yeah. And then we once stopped there. They have a lot of like almost like food trucks in the States, only they're
Mhm.
just local people cooking barbecue out of the back of their truck or whatever. And we stopped and
Okay.
we eat from those two. And like, I'm here on this island, I'm going to taste whatever they have to offer.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I love that. Okay. So, is there any advice you would give to nurses, new or seasoned, who are, ready to just jump into travel nursing? Like, what advice would you give them? And maybe specifically going to Guam.
Okay. So going into travel nursing, honestly, it is the most exciting thing I've ever done in nursing. Being able to go to different places every 3 months and live in different places. And there's places in the country that I would have never, like, I would have never lived in Bristol, Tennessee, had I never been a travel nurse. I would have never lived in Atlanta, Georgia, had I never been a travel. So if you're interested in seeing everything that the United States has to offer, then you need to
Mhm.
become a traveler, because this is the way to do it. You get to be, my life is literally vacation. My life is vacation, and I still earn a full-time living. So it's literally vacation. And Guam, the thing about travel nursing is you need to be like, of course, I've never been there. That's where I'm going to go. So
Mhm.
you need to be open to just hopping in and going, all right, I'm going to go to Guam. I've never been to Guam. Let's,
Yeah,
so now I can say I lived in Guam.
I
And there's
love
never
that.
afraid. You will always, there are always other people just like you. I'm on this
Mhm.
island with, 50 other travel nurses. So if I get in a
Mhm.
bind, and we have a WhatsApp group too. Oh, let me mention that. So there's a WhatsApp group for travel nurses. So like if you
Nice.
plans with other travel nurses, hey,
Mhm.
I'm going to go hiking tomorrow. Anybody want to come? Or, hey, what do you recommend to get, a burger and beer after work?
Mhm.
Um, put it in this travel nurse group, and all the other travel nurses respond. I know there's a large group getting scuba certified this week.
Mm.
Yeah, that
That's so cool. I mean, it's your own community away from home. You know,
it
you have, like you said, you have that support and somebody you can talk to. So
and
I
it's a safety net, really, because like if I ever
yeah.
get middle of the night somewhere, I'm going to that WhatsApp group. I'm gonna be like, can you pick me up?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, that's so awesome. Someone also asked another question. I see Angela. What's the main language spoken there other than
Eng-
English?
oh, English and Chamorro.
Hmm.
Oh, and
Yep.
Filipino. There's a huge
Hmm.
Filipino population here. And most of the staff, actually, most of the local nurses here are Filipino nurses. So Filipino, and I can't remember what it's called, Tagalog or something like that. The Filipino, and then also the Chamorro, but they mostly speak English as well.
Hmm. Good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I see Candy. She asked, how is housing for families?" So I know we kind of touched on housing before. If you want to, you know,
Yeah,
get
you
into
can
that.
you can rent apartments. Like I'm renting an Airbnb, so it's almost like a fancy hotel room that has a little kitchen, and it doesn't have a stove, but we use a grill and a griddle and cook all food. But I rented an Airbnb. But some of the other travelers have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, and like they all, 6 of them stay in one place, which is really a good way to get your housing pretty cheap. If you're renting a 3 bedroom place and it's $2,800 a month, the three of you only pay. So, so yeah, you can bring families, and there are several nurses here. I was talking to one yesterday about going to snorkel in this place called Fisheye, and I don't know how to swim, which is a fascinating
Ah.
truth about me. So I bought a life vest. So about going to fish eye, and she's like, oh, it's really deep and I'm scared to death. And I'm like, mean really deep? I'm worried my husband's going to drown because he knows how to swim. And she's like, well, I kids. So she's here with her husband and 2 kids, 8-year-old
Oh,
and a year old, because I guess they're doing school online these
yeah.
days, so she
Yep.
can be here. So yeah, you're good with kids, housing.
That's awesome. Because someone asked a follow up question like, do you see married couples there as nurses?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes, my husband's a nursing student, but if he was a nurse, we'd be working together. Yes, oh yeah, there couples here. Oh, and military. Did I mention there's a strong military? Because there's the bases, the Army National Guard, the Marines, and the Navy are all here on the island. They have very large military bases. I want to say a third of the population is military.
Yep. Yep. Oh, I love that. Well, guys, if does anyone else have any other questions? Just check really quick. See, I think that that's it. Well, I just want to say thank you again so much. I appreciate it. I hope that you have a great day. Are you off today?
I'm off for the next 3 days.
Oh, that's awesome. Go
Oh,
enjoy the beach.
yes, I'm off for the next. I have a dentist appointment today, and then we're
Yes.
gonna.
Oh, So fun, so fun. Well, we will definitely stay connected. And like I said, I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great time on your days off.
Okay, I just want to show everybody what I look at every
Yes,
single
please.
day. Okay,
Oh.
you have to see this. This is my life. When I say my life's camping, no joke. Okay.
I mean, you're like steps away from the beach, literally.
I live